Congratulations, you finally made it to 4 p.m. You know what that means. Happy hour. It's time to kick back, relax, and dive into the world of sports with the Young and Norvelle Show. Whether you're catching up on the latest scores, analyzing the big plays, or gearing up for tonight's games, we've got you covered. So grab a cold one, settle in, and let's talk sports. Here they are, Patrick Young and Terry Norvelle.
And then we are 3 days away from a massive Saturday of college basketball in our area, based out of San Antonio, the Florida Gators and the Auburn Tigers. Final four games, 6:09 on Saturday, 1 day closer. Hi, everybody. Terry Norvelle, of course, on the Young and Norvelle Show today. We will hear from Patrick Young. We'll hear from Brent Beard about 5:20, and, of course, Dr. Aaron Bates. Several injuries in and around the world of sports, including the Janai Broome elbow injury. And, man, it looked like he hyperextended his knee a little bit, but they're not talking about that. We'll talk sports medicine with Dr. Aaron Bates from Southeast Orthopedic Specialist. As we go, we'll do that as I get my headset. There we go. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. Old man had to turn up the headset. Zach Rothrock. Sometimes you got to turn. Old man got to turn up the headset sometime there, Zach. Yeah. You young whippersnappers, you know, you got that full hearing. Well, Terry might not have full hearing or eyesight or dexterity or balance or a lot of things, but we'll stop right there. All right, a lot to get to today in sports. Baseball. How about Major League Baseball? Let's lead off with this. You can't say it all the time. The Pittsburgh Pirates just gave Paul Skeens a win. The Pirates played a 1 o'clock game in Tampa today. Skeens got the start for the Pirates, the great Paul Skeens. And I say that already. I think he is just destined. If he stays semi-healthy, I think Paul Skeens is going to have a wonderful career, particularly when he gets out of Pittsburgh. But today, the Pirates beat Tampa. I think it was 4-2 was the final. It's definitely a final. The Pirates won. Skeens got the win. All he did was go 7 innings, 3 hit ball, gave up a run, 6 strikeouts. And, Zach, the Pirates held on. Skeens should be 2-0. He got a no decision in game 1. I say, Zach, I don't know if you heard me say this last week. I think no decisions should count as wins for Paul Skeens, as long as you're with the Pirates. Is that fair? Oh, well, listen, I don't hear you. I don't hear you, Zach. Zach, I don't hear you. Oh, there you sound good, buddy. How about that? No decision for Skeens should be a win, I think. Let's petition Major League Baseball to do that. Hey, speaking of baseball, just a scheduling nugget for Gator fans that might be going to Gainesville this weekend. Florida will host Vanderbilt in a 3-game set Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The Saturday game scheduled for, I believe it was an evening game. I believe it was 7 o'clock first pitch. That game, Florida versus Vanderbilt, this Saturday moved up to 1 o'clock as to not conflict with the Final Four game, which makes a lot of sense. You would probably lose 2,000 people at the gate if you left that thing at 7 o'clock, as people would be really obviously watching the Final Four more than college baseball. So good move by the folks in Gainesville. The Saturday Florida Vanderbilt baseball game has been moved. First pitch 1 o'clock as to not conflict with the big basketball game coming up Saturday. 6:09 tip, Florida versus Auburn. Wanted to get that out. Tomorrow, we'll be at Sliders. A lot going on at Sliders, but today we are in studio with a lot of guests. We'll get to talking March Madness, Major League Baseball, Florida Auburn. Speaking of Florida Auburn, reports now, and not secretive reports, but Bruce Pearl came out and said that Janai Broome will not practice today, Wednesday, or tomorrow. I think Auburn will jump on a plane probably tomorrow and head out to San Antonio. Everybody, all 4 teams get to practice on Friday. It's kind of a tradition. At the Final Four, all 4 teams get 1 hour. Open gym. The gym is open. There'll be 20,000 people just milling about watching each team play or actually practice. I would imagine, obviously, Janai Broome on Friday will, maybe even Thursday when they get in, if he could sneak over to the arena. I'm not sure if you can do that legally per the NCAA. But Broome will get up a lot of shots. But it'll be interesting. He will not be participating in full practice today or tomorrow. The injury to his elbow is his non-shooting arm. He's a left-hander, and it's his right elbow. But you don't want to lose rhythm. You don't want to lose feel. And you don't play many games in big domed football stadiums. They will play this game, this Final Four will be played in a big domed football stadium. The Alamo Dome is a football stadium first. Of course, they will condense the area and drape it off, I'm sure, and make it a cozy, 40. I think it seats. I saw today on my Florida media send out. The damn thing seats 68,000, I believe it was. Actually, I've got it pulled up here. I think I'll have it here. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, well, it seats 68,000, but in these, obviously, they take the court and scooch it to a corner, one end zone, and they'll drape it to where now you'll still have 45,000 seats. And the Final Fours now, when you look at the attendance of Final Fours the last 10 to 15 years, they're all played in domes. You cannot make a bid. If you've got Madison Square Garden has 20,000 seats, they can't bid on the Final Four. They're now understood to be played in domed stadiums. But Zach, they don't put them at the middle of the football field, right? They scooch them down to one end and kind of cordon it off with they'll bring in temporary bleachers and a big drape. But it's still an awkward look. And Pat can speak to this. Pat's played in dome stadiums shooting. Sometimes it messes with people. Just so far back. If you've noticed, when they went to dome stadiums for the Final Four, football domes, you notice, and it'll be this Saturday, the court will be raised up. The team's benches, they'll take 2 or 3 steps down to the bench and have to go up when they check into the game. Well, they do that for visual purposes. Theoretically, that helps bringing it up a little bit, helps with those rafter seats. It just gives you a little bit more advantageous view as opposed to watching a basketball game in a hole. You know what I mean? Deep in a hole, kind of. Yeah. I know. Same here. Dude, same here because, if you're really chasing a loose ball and you go 100%, you could go right off that damn floor. Yeah. And I've often thought, the coaches get up and they coach on the sideline on the court level. I'm surprised one of those coaches hadn't got, lost their train of where they're at and probably have before, but anyway, storyline number 1 is Johni Broome, I think. Yeah, the last thing you want to do, and Zach, I'll get your opinion, is it a huge detriment to Auburn basketball that Johni Broome is not going to practice Wednesday or Thursday? No, but it's not the ultimate thing you would want to do. You wouldn't want to sit your best player down and not give him any true lather-up practice time, but I understand why they're doing it, right? But it's not the optimum way to go into the Final Four game for Auburn. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, and Florida doesn't need to apologize to anybody about injured players this year. Number one, their starting center, 7'1", Hanlogden, was not on the active roster for 3/4 of the season. I mean, he was the starting center last year. Elijah Martin had a situation this year where he missed 2 or 3 games in a row, including the Auburn game. Elijah Martin didn't play in the Auburn game. Alex Condon missed 3 or 4 games in a row with that severely sprained ankle. Then he sprained it again the other night, and they had to play through that. So Florida doesn't need to apologize for injuries. But, you look at Auburn, and when we get Patrick on, I want to ask him, Broome's major injury is a hyperextended right elbow. He's a left-handed shooter, so I think that'll work out. You want him to – he can obviously shoot free throws when he's not practicing. He can even go on the court and throw up some shots and get his feel, try to keep his feel. I think where that might come into play, and I want Patrick's thought because Patrick was a power forward center, I think the hand-to-hand, arm-to-arm combat that goes on underneath the basket in basketball, and pushing and shoving, and, he's trying to push big guys out of his way. He's trying, I think that may be where if it's tender, and we'll talk to Dr. Bates, how long they did x-rays on the elbow. It was negative. So it's just a matter of what got stretched, I guess, awkwardly the wrong way. How long will that be sore? How long before, he will not think about it? I don't know. Zach. Yeah, they're good. Yeah. 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 And, if you watched the game the other night when he got injured, he went out, went to the locker room, missed a chunk of, he missed probably 6 or 7 game minutes, came back in the game with about 5.5 minutes to go. He came back into the game. He was severely favoring that elbow. He made a 3-point shot. Now, keep in mind, he's a left-handed shooter, so his dominant arm shooting is the left. The injury's on the right. He made a 3-point shot, and he gained a couple of 2 or 3 rebounds, but his rebounds were all one-armed. He was just kind of grabbing the ball with one arm. So he definitely favored the arm. As you referenced, Janai Broom, 6'10", 240, senior, plays 30 minutes a game, 18.7 points, 10.9 boards, 11 boards, as you said. And Auburn, a lot of the game, they will play basically 2 centers. Dylan Cardwell is the other guy. He's kind of a more of a thick guy, not as good offense, but they've got size. Auburn's good. I mean, there's no reason. I mean, they're in the Final Four. This is, frankly, and Alamo Dome, 68,000 it seats when it's set up for football. Big old dome. I truly think, and you guys may call me crazy, I think both of these games are toss-ups. I think Houston's got a great chance to beat Duke. I think that's a toss-up game. Houston's going to D them up, man, and I'm curious to see how Duke responds to some adversity, because there's going to be times where Duke has trouble passing the ball. Houston gets inside your jersey, man. I'm telling you. Sure. Yeah. 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 And then you favor Duke. If Houston keeps the game in the 50s or even low 60s, they've got a great chance. If the game starts getting mid to upper 70s and higher, that's probably Duke's night, because if the game gets into the upper 70s or higher, then that tells you the Houston defense hasn't totally taken over the game. The Houston defense against Tennessee totally took over the game from the opening tip. I mean, they just took over the game. That's why yesterday, Zach, and I want to get your thoughts on this as well. I had a buddy of mine before the show yesterday, and I carried it over to the show. Buddy of mine I was talking to yesterday morning, he said, Terry, what do you think from Florida's perspective? Which team do you think Florida would rather play if Florida makes the finals? Would they rather play Duke? And we know Duke. We know Flag. We know Duke. Or would they rather play Houston? And you know what? I hadn't been asked that question. I sat for about 5-10 seconds. I thought, and my answer was, I would rather Florida play Duke in the finals for this reason. If Florida matches up with Duke on Monday night, the Gators will still be able to play Gator basketball the way they want to play. They like to get up tempo. They like to shoot the three. They can play half court. But I don't think Florida basketball will have to change the way they play Monday night if they play Duke. Now, they just may not be good enough to beat Duke. I get that. If they played Houston, I think Houston's so good at changing the style of the game, Florida Monday night would have to beat Houston playing a uncomfortable type of game that Florida normally plays. Does that make sense? Okay, your thoughts. PY. PY.
Yeah, what's happening?
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think Houston plays so good. They'll control the pace of the game. That's why I'm so interested in this matchup with them and Duke. Because Duke's so efficient.
I think both games are toss-ups. I really think Saturday, both games, it wouldn't, any combination of who makes it to Monday wouldn't surprise me. Would it you, Patrick?
I just worry about Houston being able to match Duke's spurt ability.
Sure.
How quickly they can score a bunch of points.
Sure.
Houston is not really known for being that type of team. They have those games where, they can't hit the side of a barn.
Yeah.
But, they make it so you can't either. So that's my real concern in that game. But Florida Auburn, your guess is as good as mine, man.
That's a toss-up, man. I think that is a toss-up game. Patrick, you were a big, strong power forward center. I mean, that was your game. You're 6'10", right. 240 pounds probably when you were playing, cut up. Did you have games where you had a bad wrist or elbow? Broom obviously is an elbow. And I think that probably affects you more pushing the other big man off of you. And right? It's not necessarily shooting, but it's all the other physicalness if you're doing it with 1.5 arms.
Dude, I never did. I never dealt with a shoulder, elbow, hand, wrist.
Thank good.
Anything like that. For sure. Fingers, none of that. I'd like to think, there's no way on on Saturday, that left arm is problem free. It's not. Okay. Like he's gonna feel it definitely, I'm sure it feels much better. But I just remember from hyperextending my knee, man. I mean, that would take 2 weeks before you had no pain. But I don't think it's gonna be something that he's still going to be effective because he's so good still at getting on the offensive glass. I don't think he's a great defender. That's where he might be exposed defensively. I'd attack that side with that arm.
Yeah.
He likes to block shot. Look, he's a good shot blocker, Terry. Just think about this. Let's say he goes up with that arm and he gets a block. I mean, that's two forces going against each other. That's going to cause some strain on the elbow.
It's got to hurt, doesn't it? Yeah,
it's going to cause some strain on that elbow for sure.
Yeah.
Or if he gets it, same thing. If he gets his shot blocked.
Yeah. Another factor, Pat. I'll let the show off with this, and I really want your opinion on this. Bruce Pearl came out and said that Johni Broome will not practice today, Wednesday. Will not practice Thursday either, and I think they're going to jump on a plane Thursday and take off. Now, that doesn't mean he can't go on the court and shoot free throws and stuff, but he's not going to practice at all this week, basically. He'll get to the arena on Friday during the shoot-around. He can still, bump some shots off the backboard, take some free throws. At this point in the season, Pat, would that concern you as a player back in your day if you missed all week of practice going into a big game? How does that factor?
I think so. All week, I don't know, maybe this point in the season, there's still things you can do. The power of visualization is incredible, Terry.
Okay.
There was a study, or it's a story, I'm pretty sure it was based off a study of two groups of basketball players that were trying to improve their shooting percentages in practice or whatever. They had one group continue to, work on the court, do that a 30-minute workout. That was their, let's just say after a week. They did this for a week straight. They were on the court working on their shot. The other group, they had them just focus and visualize working on their game.
Okay.
Right? And there was no, the fact that actually working on your shot in that manner, there was improvements. And the other one, there was improvements as well through the visualization shows hey, there is some great, and especially since he's how many basketball scenarios, he's played so many games, and whatnot. So, and this means this is it. This is it for him. This is being a chance to get etched in forever at Auburn or at Florida or whatever.
Agreed.
And there's nothing that would get me not to find a way to get out on that court and, be willing to die out there to get a win.
Yeah. Pat, keeping it here before we end the first segment, Saturday and Monday, the Final Four will be played in the Alamo Dome. The Alamo Dome seats 68,000. Obviously, they will move the court toward one end zone, right? And they'll drape it. They'll bring in temporary bleachers and drape it, but it'll still be a big cavernous dome stadium. They'll make it where 50,000 people can have seats, but it's. Can you recall when you first played a game a real game, a big game, in a domed football stadium? What was it an issue? Just how different it is, how much space there is.
I remember doing it at Syracuse.
Big old stadium, yeah.
Yeah, same thing. They, like you said, put the end zone, put the court in the end zone and drape it off.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah.
It was really strange. I remember we lost that game, but I just felt like the feel of that was so different than anything I'd seen before, and it was strange.
Just different. Yeah.
And then same thing. I think we lost. There was Phoenix. I don't remember that one too much, but I definitely remember being in Jerry World. It was like a sea of people. Dude, it was unbelievable, Terry.
But it was different, wasn't it?
Really different. Like instead of the state like going up, it seemed like it was still going up, but it was so gradual.
Gradual, yeah.
So gradual, and there was just like, it seemed like, dang, there's people down there forever.
Yeah. Pat, am I correct? Probably not that it did not, that type of visual, because you don't play in that type of stadium very often. I'm sure it affected you big guys, but you were taking shots from 8 to 10 feet in. I would imagine the outside sharpshooters, they're the ones that really need to get their visual, get their bearings, right? The Walter Claytons and guys like that really need to get some shots up Friday and then pregame Saturday, right? I think it's key. You want to get a lot of shots up if you can.
Nothing special outside. Yeah, I don't think you got to do too much. These guys have been doing it for so long and they're so locked in. Like, you don't really look and recognize. Yeah. Like, I don't think that's going to mess them up. It'd be, because then a guy that's a shooter that's complaining about that, they're in their head so bad.
He's already beat. He's already beat, right?
He's already beat. He's already beat, Terry. He's
definitely
cooked.
And that's why Todd Golden needs to borrow a scene from Hoosiers, right? Take the team onto the court, put that trainer. Who's that trainer? Anderson. Put him on Chinyalu's shoulders. Have him go under the basket. Give him a tape measure. Drop it down. Say, what's it say? 10 foot, right? And then go in the lane to the free throw. What's it say? 15 feet, right? You remember that scene from Hoosiers? When they went and played
a little bit.
They played the little Hoosiers team had never played in a big, so they went to the final game, right? And they played in. Actually, it was filmed in Butler's gym, the actual gym that Butler still plays in. By the way, I've been inside that. It was pretty cool, old gym. But the coach was trying to make a point. Hey, man, this might be the big city, the big stadium, the big dome. The basket's still 10 foot tall, and the free throw line's still 15 feet out. When you get between the lines, everything's the same. Everything's the same.
That's so good.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
Great reference, Terry.
It was a good scene. It was a good scene. Hey, Pat, looking at Florida's schedule, going backwards, and we'll take a break here after this. And I'm looking at it right now. Here's Florida's schedule. I think the turning game of the Gators season was the Auburn game back on February 8th. They had already beaten Tennessee by 30 or whatever. That was a big game. But I still don't think we knew back on January 7th what Florida was, even though they beat Tennessee 73-43. By the time February 8th rolled around and Florida went to Auburn, Auburn had already established themselves as the bully of basketball. Remember way back then? Yep. Auburn was considered the best team in the not Duke. Auburn. Yep. Pat, yep. I think that win at Auburn on February 8th when Florida, and Florida walked away with them in the second half. That game was a blowout. Would you agree with me? I think that was the big announcement. The Florida Gators are a team to be reckoned with on February 8th in Auburn.
Like, that was without a doubt where you're like, oh man, this team can win it all. Yeah. And then you have Alabama.
Yep.
I think on the road 2 games after that. I can't remember who they played in between. It wasn't a big one.
Let me see. They got Alabama. They played Alabama. Oh, it was about a month later. They played Alabama March 5th, late in the year before the start. So they went to Alabama and beat Alabama.
And what's so big about that too and important is it's the proof that the team had continued to elevate.
Yeah,
that wasn't a fluke.
Yes,
like they beat Alabama down, because you can say, like, a lot of teams have fluke wins sometimes, and I don't mean to take away from those wins and earning that, but there's evidence in the rest of the season that team maybe just had a healthy whistle on their side, or just struck, like, broken clock is right twice a day, or
twice
right
a day.
So just with that in mind, speak for itself.
Yeah. Pat, as we go to break, do you realize, and I wonder if Gator Nation realizes, not a big deal, but I'm just going to throw it out there. If the Florida Gators were to win 2 more basketball games, if they win Saturday and they win Monday, do you realize the Florida Gators will be the 2025 NCAA national champions in basketball? But, Patrick, do you realize who the last team would have beaten Florida is? This team would get to brag and say, we were the last team to beat the national championship Florida Gators.
Georgia.
The friggin' Mike White Georgia Bulldogs, Patrick. That's the last time Florida hasn't lost since at Georgia, February 25th. How about that? How about that? Georgia could claim a win over the national champ, the last team to beat the national champions, for God's sakes. Not Auburn, not Duke if it plays out, not Houston, not Alabama, not Tennessee, not Maryland, Texas Tech, UConn, Georgia.
Nope. Man, how
weird would that be?
How crazy was them to get that win? And they played amazing. I remember that game. They played amazing in the first 5 minutes.
Georgia really did. They could not miss.
And still only won by 1 point.
Speaking of Georgia, as we break, how good of a player? I know the guy, but I didn't break it down. You covered them a lot more than I did, obviously, Georgia. How good a player is Silas Dembry? He threw his name in the portal today, Georgia. Do you remember him, Dembry? I remember the name. I don't remember much about his specifics. Dembry at Georgia.
He had some really good games. He was their main. Yeah, he was their kind of
best player,
main go-to guard. He was their go-to guard. I can't see him going to a big school.
Okay, that's kind of what I was going for.
He definitely can be better than Georgia.
Yeah, okay.
He could fit somewhere like Mississippi State or Ole Miss.
Speaking of Mississippi State, we had Trent on yesterday.
He could fit there.
Speaking of Mississippi State, Pat, we had Trent on obviously yesterday. He's a Mississippi State guy. Josh Hubbard threw his name in the portal. Josh Hubbard, the scorer at Mississippi State. That doesn't mean he's got to leave, but he threw his name in. I'll tell you what, let's take a break. We've got Patrick Young. We'll dial him back up. We're just getting started on a Wednesday, 3 days before Florida plays another monster basketball game. Florida-Auburn, Game 1, Final Four. That'll be chased on Saturday by Houston-Duke. We'll talk about all that. College basketball in general. Major League Baseball we'll get to. Brent Beard joins us at 5:20. Dr. Aaron Bates, our Southeast Orthopedic Specialist. Sports Medicine segment comes up at 5 o'clock. We're loaded up. Stay with us right here on the Young and Norvelle Show on Action Sports Jacks.
For those dealing with pain from a sports injury, arthritis, or spine condition, Southeast Orthopedic Specialists offers innovative new non-surgical options. Our regenerative medicine treatments, including platelet-rich plasma and other regenerative treatments, use your body's own restorative cells to aid in treating injuries. These procedures are performed in our offices and typically require minimal downtime. If you want to get back to doing what you love, our regenerative treatment options may be right for you. For more information or to schedule an appointment online, visit our website.
Finally, a family atmosphere, kid-friendly restaurant with a real sports bar feel. Bricks Jack's Beach features all of that and a large, climate-controlled covered patio with misting fans and heaters for all seasons. Mix in an extremely diverse menu that features the most quality and affordable steak at the beach, and there's no reason not to enjoy your next lunch, dinner, happy hour, or big sporting event at Bricks Jack's Beach, 300 2nd Street North in Jacksonville Beach. See you at Bricks Jack's Beach.
You really got to hand it to him. Hold on.
The previous play is under further review.
I'm not sure what he could review, but okay. Sure has been a while. Dynamic Hurricane Grill and Wings for the football season. Well, there he is. Oh, what is that?
Hey everyone, Olivia Tasley here from Action Sports Jacks to tell you all the different ways you can watch our new 24/7 network. 3 easy steps. You don't even need a pen and paper to write it down. Step number 1, download the app. Search Action News Jacks in your app store either on your phone or your smart TV. Then, once you're on the app, click on that little drop-down menu in the upper left-hand corner with the 3 little lines. That'll show you these options, and boom, right here, click Action Sports Jacks 24/7, and you will be brought to our continuous stream channel. That app can be accessed through all these different platforms, whether you have Roku, Fire TV, Smart TV, Apple TV, or Google TV. You can find our app. Now, if you don't have access to the app, don't worry. We still got you covered. We're across all social media platforms from Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Twitch. We have a podcast channel. Plus, check out our short reels on our TikTok. Action Sports Jacks 24/7. It's on all the time and everywhere.
It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville.
It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air.
It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who is coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com.
Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. boldcityac.com, and they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs.
Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
We are back. Terry Norvelle, Patrick Young. We'll talk to Dr. Aaron Bates about 5 o'clock with our Southeast Orthopedic Specialist sports medicine segment we do on every Wednesday. Brent Beard about 5:20, 5:25. Patrick Young joins us. Hey, Pat, the numbers have come out on March Madness because every time you win a game in March Madness, you accrue a unit. They call it a unit, right? And each conference, they add up how many units, and a unit is worth $2 million. The units, and Pat, hit your button. We can't hear you again. But the units are counted all the way through the Final Four. So we know who's got what. Still not hearing you, Pat. But as of right now, all the units have been counted. Nope, still don't hear. Let me get this out. So the SEC in March Madness, all the units are accounted for because the Final Four in the championship game don't count. The SEC has pocketed a smooth $70 million just from winning games in March Madness. $70 million. That's just extra fun money because you get $2 million per win, and the SEC has 22 wins in March Madness so far. $70 million. Now, it'll be distributed evenly to all the members. And then, Pat, it'll be a 6-year rolling payout, so the NCAA doesn't have to hand them $70 million. But how about that? 22 wins so far. And they've in addition to their TV money, the SEC has just pocketed $70 million because of March Madness, Pat. How about that? Hit it again, Pat. Be careful there while you're driving, my man. No. Zach, is that on our end or his end? There we go. I think I do hear. We're working. We're working, Pat. Hang tight. We still don't hear you. That's an angry Pat face. He's going to turn into Incredible Hulk in a minute. He's turning green. He's turning green. So, Pat, this is probably your best segment ever, too, man. Man, you're good right now, man. You are good. You are good. So, all right, just keep hitting buttons and see. Oh, it's your Bluetooth. He thinks it's running through your Bluetooth, and yeah. So be careful. Don't if you need to, pull it to the side and fix it. So no, we don't hear you. What about now? Terry's great. Terry's handsome. What now is he saying, Terry? Hey, wait a minute. I can put words in Patrick Young's mouth right now. Oh yeah, I can read your lips. Terry's the best host you've ever worked with. Most handsome host. All right, Zach. Let's Pat, pull over to the side of the road if you have to. I want to go over a couple of basketball things here, Pat, and I wanted you to comment on this. But some college basketball milestones that have hit. This date in 1985, the NCAA announced that college basketball will get rid of the. How about this? Up through 1985, college basketball had a 45-second shot clock. 45 seconds. Before then, there was no shot clock, Pat. So what happened, you'd have people opening tip, get the ball, and go four corners. You'd have games 14-12. So what happened in 1985, the NCAA, I think what they did, boys, they saw TV coming. College basketball was starting to be on TV. The tournament was on TV. So the NCAA boys looked up and said, we have to at least put a shot clock in. We can't have a game on TV where North Carolina is holding the ball on Virginia and the final score is 14-12. So did you realize the first college shot clock was 45 seconds long? That seems incredibly long, doesn't it? So, another milestone that I think happened in college basketball because college basketball saw TV taking over. The tournament was popping up on the CBS and then being broadcast everywhere. 1986, the NCAA allowed the three-point shot for the 86-87 season. The first three-point shot was 19.9. That is at the top of the key. Remember how short that was for a three-point shot? It started at 19.9, and the NBA's was at 21. The NBA now is 23.9. Almost 24 feet. 19, Pat, you could have made one of those. Anyway, Pat, I'll tell you what, we'll let you go until you can get that audio. I don't want you doing a double dip here. If you can fix the audio, we want to hear some of your comments, but I'm a little worried about you driving and hitting those buttons. Uh-oh, Pat went sideways on us. You went sideways on us, Pat. Unless you're, Zach, he's either sideways or going up a hill, one or the other. He's like Batman and Robin going up the side of a building. He was driving up the Independent Life building downtown, I think. But Zach, I think you see where I'm going. Some college basketball history. 1985, the NCAA said, "Wait a minute, we are going to have to institute a shot clock. We cannot have no shot clock. Our game is now starting to be really accepted and being broadcast."
How about now?
Patrick Young. Patrick Young is back.
Hear you guys.
You got to be able to hear me. You got to hear us.
What in the world?
Hold on. I'll fix that.
I can't hear you guys now.
Now you can?
Hold on, let me see what.
No, now you can.
Check my audio setting here.
No, I tell you, Pat, you're a lot of work, man. Guys, a lot of work.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm at a red light.
How about now? Can you hear us now, Pat?
I don't think it's anything you can switch.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm not on remote, am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all Patrick's fault. All Patrick. There he goes. He gone, Zach.
Yeah, I don't know.
He gone.
I mean, just to kind of peel behind the curtain. I mean, like he could hear us and we could hear him, and then suddenly neither works and nothing changed. Like I don't know. I don't know how to troubleshoot that. You know what I mean?
Maybe he's shy. Is Pat shy?
That's what it is. That's got to be. That is the only thing that actually does make sense.
Pat's shy. Pat is shy. So my two college basketball
This is gonna
TV
work.
notes. Oh,
There
Pat.
it is. We got you.
Can you hear us? Pat,
Yes.
Nope, still can't
Going
hear you
once,
guys.
going twice.
he still can't hear us.
This works. You can just provide commentary over the top.
Yeah. Why not? I just heard a mean sight. By the way,
me.
speaking of college basketball history on this date, I think today, back in 2007, I think today is the biggest day in the history of Gator basketball. You know why? Because today, back in 2007, Florida defeated Ohio State in the national championship game, 84-75, to give the Gators back-to-back national championships.
You can hear the words that I'm saying. Sorry.
Hey, Pat, I hear you.
Yeah, that was
That's
the
gotta
day
be the-
that.
As of right now, that's got to be the biggest game in the history of Gator basketball, right? That
I
was
mean, it
their
feels
second.
like it. I mean, not a single day goes by that I don't hear about the Gators back-to-back national championships in basketball. So, I mean, therefore, it feels like it almost has to be.
Where do you live at? I'm sorry. Where are you? Are you in South?
I live in Duval.
Are you in the? Oh yeah, you live in the Low Country.
I live in Duval.
No, you live in Jacksonville, Florida, the largest city closest to Gainesville. Hey, do you think in?
No, I'm just saying. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying.
I think
yeah,
you are.
I'm agreeing with you.
I
That's
think
what I'm doing.
I think you are complaining.
I'm agreeing
I
with you.
think you around.
I'm saying. I think you're right.
I think going around your elbow to get to your nose, you are complaining. I think you are.
That's normally not where I end up when I go around my elbow.
I think you are, but is that true though? That would be the biggest game ever in Gator basketball, right? The second.
Yeah, other than that
Back-to-back.
Elite 8 game in 2016 where they faced South Carolina, it probably is the biggest. Other than that one, yeah.
Tariffs to promote
Here we
U.S.
go.
manufacturing.
Shut your
Now,
filthy
he's
mouth.
Speaking,
I got Siri talking.
Is that
to
Siri? Hey Siri, who's winning Saturday? Siri, Siri, who wins Saturday? Florida, Auburn. And Patrick should go. I think the Gators are going to win.
Yeah, for sure.
Siri thinks the Gators are going to win. Put all your money. Speaking of Zach, and I know Pat can't hear me. Did you hear about me taking the Brinks truck out? I almost shut down Hard Rock.
Oh, whoa. What happened with
Well,
this? I didn't hear about this.
Last weekend, I had a 4-leg parlay, put $10 down, and my last leg, I needed Tennessee to beat Kentucky by 5 or more, and they blew them out. Old Terry,
Yeah.
hey, put up 10, walked away with $116. Almost shut the thing down, baby.
Oh, man. Okay.
Shut it down. Now I've lost $10 since, but
Yeah, well,
well.
that's the tax you got to pay.
it just feels good to win.
I was actually one of the lucky individuals who had Ole Miss plus 3.5. Which,
And?
if you recall the way that game ended, they were down by 6 points, and Ole Miss threw up a half-court shot with a 0 time remaining.
And it went in?
Yeah, it went in, so they lost by 3 to cover the 3.5.
Are you going to take that?
It was the most amazing thing I'd ever witnessed. I couldn't believe it was real.
Are
I
you
was
gonna
like, oh my God.
Are you going to take that?
Yeah.
What it win you? Did you win on that?
Yeah, I actually had on a parlay also. I can't remember. It was also 4 games. It wasn't the same 4 that you had, though.
Yeah.
Because that was the last one. Yeah, I mean, I'll put in like 10 and 1 back. I think 90. Not a huge amount. Not the big 100. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. I just thought it was a done deal. I thought it was a loss. I was like, okay, well, I mean, that was fun. We lost this. You know, we're moving
Miss-
on to the next one.
Ole Miss, I watched the whole game. Ole Miss should have won the game.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, it was an emotional roller coaster. They were winning by a lot for a
Yeah.
while.
And actually, Brent Beard and I were talking, I think Patrick as well, the game where Ole Miss got eliminated and also the game where Arkansas got eliminated by Texas Tech. Ole Miss and Arkansas, they suffered from, you hear this a lot too, Ole Miss and Arkansas, they were scared to win the game. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Ole Miss especially. They were scared to finish winning the game.
Yeah, that's probably a pretty common thing in these March Madness with the high
Yeah.
stakes single elimination tournaments. I mean,
Yeah.
And then, I mean, especially when you know you're a self-aware underdog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that it tends to happen. For
Hey,
sure.
this date back in 1990, around this date, 1990 and 91, how about this emotional roller coaster? 1990, National Championship game, college basketball. UNLV ends up beating Duke, a really good team with Duke, Bobby Hurley and Leitner and these guys. UNLV wins the national championship by absolutely routing Duke, 103-73. I watched the game back in 90, 30-point win. They blew the
That's a lot.
They blew the doors off of Duke. 103-73, 1990. 1 year later, the same two teams meet up in the Final Four, not the championship game. They meet up in the Final Four, the game before the championship.
Mm-hmm.
UNLV is about to win back-to-back titles. They're on a 45-game winning streak, and Duke turns the table 79-77.
Oh, yeah. That's ridiculous.
That?
Yeah. So does that be the Christian Leitner?
Yeah, Leitner and Hurley and those guys. And then Duke went on to win it the next Monday. But they got beat by 30 the year before, faced the same team going back-to-back on a 45-game heater, and Duke beats them. How about that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's how that's how legends are made, March Madness.
Yeah. No doubt about it. So the big story, the second big story for Florida Auburn, I brought it up, and it's going to get more play. It hadn't got a whole lot of play. I think you've got to factor this in, and it's got to be pro Florida. But do you realize in the first Florida Auburn game, the only Florida Auburn game this year, February 8th, Gators win at Auburn by 9. They dominate the second half. Do you realize Florida was missing one starter? Elijah Martin was out. He didn't play. He missed 2.
Yeah, during that window.
He didn't play. A starter didn't play on the road at Auburn. And Micah Hanlogden was not on the active roster yet. A major piece off the bench and a starter didn't play in the game. That's got to factor in for Florida, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. And the fact, I believe that game was in Auburn. I feel like pretty, so now it's a neutral court.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are concerned about the whole, it's hard to beat a team twice, et cetera.
Yeah.
That old cliche, which is kind of backed up. I think there's like a 70% time the team that lost actually wins. So there is data to that. But, I think that the injury to Janai Broom is going to play a bigger factor than any of that other stuff. If they're not able to get the box outs they need, and Florida does get the second chance baskets, that's what's going to make the biggest. And Florida's one of the best offensive rebounding teams that exists.
Yeah. Now, the flip side, Broom, game starts, Broom, his first 2 touches down low, he turns and scores twice and rips down 2 rebounds. There's a huge emotional lift for Auburn. That crowd's going to go nuts. And,
there's also that factor.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Hey, I've got some Zach. While we got a few minutes, and we'll have Dr. Bates at the top of the hour, and then Brent Beard. Major League Baseball. My God, have you fought? The Braves are 0-6, and it looks bad right now.
They're having a tough start to the season.
Can't score a run. They've already had a 29-inning scoreless streak. They scored 1 run last night, and that was because an error helped them. Braves are 0-6, only winless team in Major League Baseball. They're already 4 games out of first place. Now, Brave fan will hang their hat and say, well, 2021, the Braves won the World Series, and they started like 0-5 or 0-6. But, man, this is a different National League, man. There wasn't – the Dodgers weren't the Dodgers like that in 2021.
No, the Dodgers, they've become basically the NL All-Star team at this point.
Well, and then you look at the NL. The Dodgers are the Dodgers. They're 7-0. San Diego's 6-0. Philadelphia is really good again. Arizona has been a spoiler. That National League is loaded, man. I don't know. By the way, the Braves started 0-9 in 2016. I'm not going to say they're going to get to 0-9, but here's how that year played out. You start 0-9, the Braves ended up firing their manager, Freddie Gonzalez, after they got to 9-28. So they fired him kind of early. And they replaced him. The Braves that year finished 68-93. Ooh.
Yikes.
Ooh. And that's what happens when you open up 0-9 that year. But right now, the Braves are 0-6. I think Trent explained it real well yesterday when the Braves were 0-5. Think about the hole you dig right out of the gate. If you go out to get to 500, you've got to win 5 more games than you lose over the next, right? That's
you're digging a huge hole.
Just to get to 500.
Yeah.
You've got to win 5 more over the next, say, 10 games.
They could get out of a pretty big hole. They got the talent to do that. But, you got suspensions happening.
I know.
Yeah, so, it's...
Acuna's still a month away. Lopez, a starter, is out for a little while. The guy, Profar, is suspended. By the way, I've never heard of this type of suspension. Maybe I haven't paid enough attention. He gets suspended, the Braves Profar, for PED, right? Tested positive.
Right.
They give him 80 games, starts immediately, right? 80 games. When the 80 games end, if the Braves make the postseason, he can't make the postseason. Did you see that? It's 80 games plus the postseason if they make it.
Right, yeah.
I've never heard of that. Have you?
No, not really.
Sounds weird.
That is different.
It is definitely. Speaking of the Dodgers, 7-0, they're the first defending World Series champion to start 7-0 since the New York Yankees in 1933. Are the Dodgers ever going to lose? Are they just going to win 162
I think they're going to
straight?
go 162-0, yeah.
I think so. Wow. Fun story. Patrick's back. Pat.
Yeah, nice.
Pat's back.
Yes.
What were you trying to say?
That was weird.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm stopped.
What did we miss? You were going to impart some wisdom on us. Oh, the SEC has already pocketed $70 million because they had 22 wins so far in March Madness.
22 wins.
You get $2 million a year. Go ahead.
Oh, so are wins in the first? Are they weighted differently?
Nope. You get every win in March Madness all the way through the final. They don't. The Final Four to the championship game, they don't count. They stop counting. You get a unit for a unit for every win. Every unit is worth $2 million. The SEC will pocket $70 million to be distributed to all the schools in a 6-year rolling window. So the NCAA doesn't have to hand you $70 million. They'll do it over. But $70 million this is extra money, found money because they're good in basketball. How about that? 70.
That's every year. Man, look at all that money. Look at all that money. Golly.
Hey, Pat, when the
just for having rewarding the conference, being rewarded for having a strong conference.
Yeah, and they should. Patrick Young, I want to throw this out. Call me crazy because this guy hadn't played in a long time. Might there be a situation, maybe the Florida-Auburn game, maybe the championship game if Florida was to play Duke, might there be a situation where Florida runs Sam Alexis out for 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there, just to body up on a broom, just to body up on a flag to see if maybe you could get a foul here or there? Might we see Sam Alexis? I know that's way down the bench. I don't know, it hit me this morning.
It'd be hard for me to see it.
Okay, hadn't played in so long.
But look, it'd be nice. It'd be nice if he was needed for something crazy happened that he was absolutely needed and he could come out there. I think I wouldn't hang my head and say, "Oh no, we don't have a chance." Yeah, I would say, "All right, Sam, here's your time. I know you wanted to be out there more.
You know what got me thinking that?
Here's your opportunity on the biggest stage."
What got me thinking that was Saturday night when Texas Tech was bullying down low. They were just backing down bullying. I thought to myself, I might throw Sam Alexis out there for 2 possessions and say, Sam, just go body up and maybe you can steal a foul. And I don't have to have Condon get a foul or Houck get a foul. I don't know. That's way down the road. I know that's crazy talk, but I don't know. I
don't think it's crazy. I don't think that's too crazy.
Yeah.
Pat, Coach Golden has these different type of philosophies at times. So it's probably something that hasn't been thought of or discussed at some point.
Yeah. I also thought Golden did another good job. He didn't throw it in as early as you thought, Pat, but he threw that 3/4 court press to kind of change the tempo against Texas Tech, and I thought it worked again.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't do it a little bit earlier because I mean they were getting killed. They were getting killed in half court defense. Yeah. Half court defense. It just wasn't there.
That little 3/4 court trap, though, man. That little press, I guess you call it. They're not turning anybody over, but it changes the tempo, doesn't it? It changes the tempo of the game.
I think you're less likely that Auburn's going to be different because Janai Brooks is their best player. Yeah. But I think you're less likely to think post touch with when you have to start your offense with 12 seconds instead of you starting your offense with college is 30 seconds. So starting your offense at 18 seconds.
I agree.
That ball's that's just so much less time. The more time a team has to be on defense, the much more likely there's going to be a breakdown. It's really hard with all the movement and cutting and all that stuff. It's hard to keep a team a perfect defensive set that long consistently. That's why it's so few teams that can do it.
I think you're so right, man. If you on defense, if you can burn 12 seconds off that shot clock before the offensive team really gets into the front court and gets into it. I think that helps you. I think that really does help you. They're not stealing the ball off that. They're just
But we saw though against South Carolina they're capable.
Yeah.
Goodness. Will Richard was a demon up there.
Yeah. I don't have this stat in front of me, and I don't know how easy it is to look up. I would feel confident in saying this Gator team has had more dunks than any team in Gator history. It seems like they dunk 10 times a game, 15 times a game, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. They do dunk the ball a lot. You're right.
I guess a lot of that.
I'm curious on that one.
That pick and roll,
I feel like Joe Kim and Al, those guys dunked a lot for sure.
Yeah, they had a lot of dunks, and
they dunked a whole bunch.
And Brewer flying down the lane, dunking it in there. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right, Pat, let's take a break.
Brewer was so good, man.
He was, man. You know, he was. I was reading some stuff about that back-to-back. One of those championship years, he was the most outstanding player. It wasn't Horford or Noah.
Yep.
It was Corey.
Yep.
Corey.
Yep,
yeah,
sure was.
You know,
Corey had a very long career in the NBA.
He really did. He had a huge shot in the first national championship year. Remember, Game 2, they locked up with a nasty defense Georgetown team, and Brewer hit that shot right on the baseline late in the game. He had a big shot, and they won the game like 56-54 or something like that. Real defensive.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, real defense early in the tournament, and they were about to get bumped out, and Brewer hit a big shot. Real big shot. All right, Pat, stay with that. Stay where you're at. We'll get Dr. Bates on some injury stuff. We'll get him to talk about a hyperextended, elbow, and what's the time frame. If it's a solid hyperextension, is 6 days enough to get you near 100%.
Right.
That and a whole lot more. Patrick Young hanging around. Terry Norvelle and you. It's a Wednesday edition of the Young and Norvelle Show on Action Sports Jacks.
Finally, a family atmosphere, kid-friendly restaurant with a real sports bar feel. Bricks Jack's Beach features all of that and a large, climate-controlled covered patio with misting fans and heaters for all seasons. Mix in an extremely diverse menu that features the most quality and affordable steak at the beach, and there's no reason not to enjoy your next lunch, dinner, happy hour, or big sporting event at Bricks Jack's Beach, 300 2nd Street North in Jacksonville Beach. See you at Bricks Jack's Beach.
For over 20 years, Southeast Orthopedic Specialists has been providing the highest level of orthopedic and spine care to patients throughout Northeast Florida. Now, we're making that same great care even more convenient with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists Direct, a walk-in clinic where you can be seen for pain or injuries with no appointment needed. Staffed by orthopedic physicians and specialists, we offer everything from diagnosis and treatment to imaging and bracing, all with no appointment needed. For more information, hours, and locations, visit our website.
You really got to hand it to him. Hold on.
The previous play is under further review.
I'm not sure what he could review, but okay. Sure has been a while. Dine in at Hurricane Grill and Wings for the football season. Well, there he is. Oh, what is that?
Hey everyone, Olivia Tasley here from Action Sports Jacks to tell you all the different ways you can watch our new 24/7 network. 3 easy steps. You don't even need a pen and paper to write it down. Step number 1, download the app. Search Action News Jacks in your app store either on your phone or your smart TV. Then, once you're on the app, click on that little drop-down menu in the upper left-hand corner with the 3 little lines. That'll show you these options, and boom, right here, click Action Sports Jacks 24/7, and you will be brought to our continuous stream channel. That app can be accessed through all these different platforms, whether you have Roku, Fire TV, Smart TV, Apple TV, or Google TV, you can find our app. Now, if you don't have access to the app, don't worry, we still got you covered. We're across all social media platforms from Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Twitch. We have a podcast channel. Plus, check out our short reels on our TikTok. Action Sports Jax 24/7. It's on all the time and everywhere.
Summertime means sizzling sales at Nimnick Buick GMC. The #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville has lots of inventory to choose from with their best price guarantee. Nimnick never charges above MSRP. You can save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierras or get rates as low as 1.9%.
You know, I'm a truck guy. GMC Sierra, my trim level is an SLT. This one's an Elevation. Pretty good looking color as well. So here at Nimnick Buick GMC, you have a lot to pick from. My father-in-law, he drives this, an Enclave, so I feel like that GMC in the family. 2025 is coming around the corner, which means it's almost time to close out those 2024s this summer.
You can schedule a test drive at NimnickBuickGMC.com. And while you're there, check your trade value and customize your payment options. Nimnick is there for you, even on Sundays. Visit the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
All right, let's get back into it. It is Wednesday, second hour. That means time to talk some sports medicine with our buddy, Dr. Aaron Bates from Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, the best in the business. By the way, you can go to se-ortho.com, se-ortho.com. It'll tell you all the locations, the no appointment necessary locations. You can get in immediately, get seen by the best, Southeast Orthopedic Specialist. I think we got Dr. Bates dialed up. You there, Doc?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hey, buddy. Sounds good, man. You sound real good. Before we get talking, I want to talk about Janai Broome, obviously, his elbow injury. I don't mean to be rude or anything, but I want to go back to my injury. I remember 2 weeks ago I told you, Doc, I have a strained left biceps. And I think you can see me. It hurts mainly here and then kind of here below the forearm, the bend. And yet, yes, I've been not as good as I should, but I've been icing it a lot and taking it easy. It's still sore here, and it's going away here. I would guess, Doc, it's probably 40% less sore than it was 2 weeks ago. Am I on the good timeline? Should I be healed, or is it okay to be still? I'm not doing anything at the gym, but I still feel it a little bit here, but a lot less.
I mean, I think it's recovering pretty well. Some people have those issues for 9 months or so.
I can't go that long.
You really have that partial tear or strain of the distal biceps. So I think you're doing well with it.
But Doc,
recovering.
I can't go 9 months. I need to start curling. You know, I can't. I can't do that seriously at the gym. I can the bench press. I do a sitting bench press. Nothing hurts. The pull back that hurts. So I can't curl yet, and I can't go 9 months, Doc. What can you do for me there?
Yeah, buddy, just have to keep taking it slow and taking some anti-inflammatories. And when you get back into it, you got to really go light and do a lot of reps.
Yeah. But so I'm okay though. It shouldn't be totally fixed by now. 2 weeks, right?
No.
Okay.
No. But I think in a month, I think when we talk about this, I think it'd be a lot different for you.
Okay, good.
In a good way.
But definitely, I bet you I'm 40% less painful than it was 2 weeks ago. So good. I'm on the right track. All right, Doc. You probably were watching the game with Janai Broome, or you saw the highlights. He goes up, comes down awkwardly, and when he got injured, the injury is a hyperextended right elbow. That's what they're calling it. X-rays at the arena were negative. First of all, Doc, if you saw it live or on replay, man, it looked like he hyperextended his knee too. He landed stiff. And it looked like he had 2 injuries, but it looks like just the hyperextended elbow. Talk about what's in there, what a hyperextension to the elbow means, timeline. He'll have 6 days to rehab, and they said it was negative, the X-rays. Talk about that injury and what it means to a big basketball player that's got to push off and pull and shoot.
Right. So first of all, he actually hyperextended not only his knee, but he twisted his ankle too. He just didn't have much of an injury there. on both the knee or the ankle. He was limping a little bit, but that seemed to recover pretty quickly. As far as his elbow is concerned, when he hyperextended his elbow, it's almost like if it kept going, he would have probably dislocated his elbow. It would just stop before he dislocated. So he kind of stretched out the capsule in the front of his elbow and sprained some of the ligaments that hold the elbow together. Now, the ligaments obviously are still intact because he was able to come back out. But, we see these sprains every now and then. But, unlike who was the quarterback that dislocated, the Georgia quarterback, dislocated his elbow? That's going to Miami now?
Carson Beck.
Yeah. So the way he fell on his, it was enough force where he fully dislocated it.
Yeah.
This one, he didn't fall, hard enough to dislocate it. But if he had, this is the type of mechanism where that occurs.
I'll tell you, man, obviously our limbs, our arms and our legs, when we make contact and those limbs are all the way straight, boy, it's not good, right? It tends to want to go the wrong way when it's all the way straight and the force hits.
Yeah, your range of motion of a joint is only supposed to go so far.
Yeah.
And it's not supposed to go in the other direction. So when it goes in the other direction, that's when you start to have issues. But
I know
like you said, he's got 6 days to recover. And he was actually able to come back out and he hit a 3 and obviously not his shooting hand, but he's pretty ambidextrous anyway. He plays with both hands, and so I think it's going to be okay. It just needed some time.
And you mentioned when he came back in, he played the last 5.5 minutes. He made a 3-pointer.
Yeah.
He's a left-handed shooter, and it's his right elbow, so I guess that helps, number one. But he did get a couple of rebounds in those last 5 minutes, and they were one-armed rebounds. They were definitely one-armed. He didn't go up with 2. Yeah. And I asked Patrick a moment ago, all the years he played down low, and that's a physical place in the paint when you're playing big men. And, Doc, I got to believe shooting may not be his bigger issue, maybe the 2 hands pushing guys off and defending guys, and that's probably going to be his main physical point, wouldn't you think? The defensive end.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the part, or even just trying to body somebody up, even if he's going to shoot with his left to make some room to to get a shot off. It's going to be a little more difficult for him, but at that point you got adrenaline going and everything, so he's able to come back and play. I bet he was in more pain post game than actually during the game.
And we were talking with Patrick. Pat's played a lot of basketball in these massive domes. The Alamo Dome seats 68,000. They'll scoot the court down and tarp it up, but it's an awkward look. Bruce Pearl said that Broome is definitely not going to practice. Now, that doesn't mean he can't shoot free throws and bounce some stuff off the backboard here and there and ride a bike probably, but he's definitely not going to practice Wednesday or Thursday. Each team on Friday before the Final Four, each team gets an hour on the court, and it's open to the public. But so I'm assuming he'll get out there and get a feel for the arena. But it's not. I mean, Doc, you played a lot of sports. It's not the best thing in the world to not practice at all the week going into the Final Four game on Saturday.
Yeah, you want your body to be right. You want your mind to be right. There's a timing aspect and all that, but these guys have been playing all year, and you have to take what's given to you. And so the one thing that you don't want is to irritate something that could be much better if he just doesn't get out there and practice and get physical and stuff like that, and leave that for the game.
The perfect world for Terry Norvelle and Gator Nation. I'm a Gator fan. I want Florida to win every game. I've been in this business 30 years. I've never hidden away from that. I hope I'm fair and honest, and I rip Florida in sports a lot when they need to be ripped. The best scenario for Terry Norvelle would be Florida wins the game Saturday evening over Auburn, and Broome gets his 16, 18, 20. I don't want Broome to be a gimpy guy out there and only score 4. He's too good of a player, and I mean I want Florida to win. Don't get me wrong, but I don't want Broome to get 4 points and look like a one-armed bandit out there, and you go, man, that's not fair to the kid, man. He is the heart and soul of that team.
Right, right. And also you don't want to have Florida have any excuses of why they won.
Yeah.
You want them to play, Auburn at Auburn's best. And you gotta, beat the best to be the best. So, you definitely want that. And yeah, for the kid, you want the kid to continue to do well and be able to perform up to 100%.
Switching to the NFL, Doc, do you have any thoughts on, and you may not have given this any thought, the NBA, NFL is trying their best. They've tabled it. They're going to try and pass it in May when they get back together, the owners. They're trying their best, and they're saying from an injury standpoint, they're trying their best to get that tush push, that power sneak out of the game, and they're using threat of injury. Doc, all the football I've watched, do you think? I don't think there's much threat of injury of that play. I think that's very, somebody could always fall on somebody, but what are your thoughts on the NFL trying to say threat of injury? We need to get that play out of this game.
Yeah, I think that's kind of an excuse.
I'm with you.
And if you look at the history of it, of the play, which they just started doing it, within the year or two, there really hasn't been any injuries during that play. It's different than, the kickoff and everything that they changed. And obviously, I guess they changed it for a good reason. I still like the kickoff the way it was before, but
same here.
But yeah, you can see that there were many injuries, with the kickoff the way it was in the past. Now they cut down on injuries, but now they're clawing back and saying, that you don't get as good of a field position by having the touchback, right?
Yes.
And so, but yeah, the tush push. The problem with that is, I don't think it was managed and called correctly when they started doing it. It is an illegal play.
Yeah.
Right. If you look at the rule book, the way it states, you can't help another player gain yards.
Yeah.
It's an illegal play already, but they just didn't enforce it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's fine. It's great for Philly because they were able to use it. They did it better than anybody else. And I guess if everybody had a chance to do it, it's not like they called penalty on one team they didn't call on the other.
That's my
I really
angle,
don't care if they have it or don't have it, but you just have to call it consistently. And Philly figured out how to do it better than anybody else. Other teams could do it too if they wanted. But Philly just learned how to do it. But I don't think an injury part is an issue with that.
But I think they're trying to use that. It's funny what I read yesterday. There's obviously the NFL has a million departments. There's a NFL game safety department. And the word on the article I read yesterday was the NFL safety division has said, we have never seen one iota of evidence that one injury has come from that play. So that kind of goes against their own NFL. But yeah, I just don't. To me, it just feels like either change it because you say, well, we didn't go with the letter of the law in the rule book. You're not supposed, like you said, don't punish it. It looks like they want to change it because one team is really good at it, and that bugs me.
Right.
One team got really good at something.
Yeah, it's the problem.
Yeah, I agree. Doc, I don't know. This is more of a wow. How does this happen? I want you to give me your opinion. Has to do with baseball. The season opener about a week ago for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Their second baseman Nick Gonzalez up to bat, swings, hits a home run. Hits a home run, and they say he broke his foot on his home run trot. Now that sounds awkward to me, Doc. What I'm telling you there, do you think he could have broken something in that foot on the torque of the swing, or can you just land wrong? Because he gimped around the bases, and they say he broke his foot on his home run trot. I'm like, are you sure that wasn't just swing-induced? Maybe he did it on the swing, his foot.
Yeah, I didn't really see it when it happened, but I did look it up, and it sounds like he had taken some foul balls off of that ankle earlier.
Oh, I didn't know that, Doc. I did not know that.
And I think he had some issues with it. And they said when he caught a fly ball the inning before, when he was in the outfield,
okay,
he kind of came up, gimped a little bit.
Okay.
When I originally heard of it, I thought, well, maybe he was looking up at the foul ball and he twisted his ankle on the base, but the ball was over the fence before he even hit first base. So
yes, definitely.
And so yes, it may have been he may have like pre-injured it,
okay,
or may have injured and not known it, and then kind of irritated with the swing, at the plate.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense, and I didn't know that backstory. I read a lot about it, and I looked at it on YouTube. And on YouTube, I saw the swing from different angles, and he didn't immediately make contact and then gimp. He took a few steps and then started gimping. So, that makes sense if he had a predetermined something. And, I know this may sound crazy, but a full baseball swing, you could put a lot of pressure on your foot, couldn't you? That torque.
Oh, there's definitely torque through your ankle. Yeah. When you swing, there's torque through your whole trunk and legs and your upper body and all of that. And if you already have an injury there, certainly that could irritate.
I just thought it was so funny, is why I dove into it. I read it last week. And by the way, that's such a Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh's always bad in baseball. That's a Pittsburgh injury. Guy hits a home run and breaks his foot on the try,
Right.
Hey, Dr. Bates, last thing here for Dr. Aaron Bates from Southeast Orthopedic Specialist. We do it every Wednesday, and we thank those good folks for sponsoring this. The Dodgers have a pitcher, Dusty May. He came back, and we may have talked about this, but I don't remember the phrasing. I want you to tell me what this is. Dusty May, pitcher for the Dodgers, has come back from a torn flexor tendon. Torn flex. I don't recall that term. What is that? Torn flexor tendon.
Were they talking about in his elbow? I can't recall.
A pitcher and Tommy John stuff.
Yeah.
What? I've never heard of that phrase. Have we talked about it?
So I can't remember if we spoke about this or not, but if what they're referring to is where the common attachment of the flexor tendons of the wrist and fingers that attach down to the elbow, right over top of where the Tommy John ligament is, that's an area of stress as well. And so I see that multiple times, not really where it's torn, but in pro baseball, you can get it where you get this overuse thing, you get these partial tears of these flexor tendons where it attaches onto the end of the humerus bone at the elbow. You can certainly have that. But I don't typically, you don't have to have surgery for that. Typically that's a rest and rehab type of thing. Maybe a PRP injection or stem cell injection to try to help it heal. May need some time, away from throwing and irritating that area, but generally people come back from that pretty well.
I'll let you go on this, Doc, and this may not be an answerable question, but I think of these weird things. Compare the knee to the elbow. Is there more mess-upable stuff in the knee area, or is there more mess-upable stuff in the elbow area, or is that almost an unanswerable kind of question? You know what I mean by mess? There's ACL, MCL, UCL. Is there more mess-upable stuff in knee or elbow, or is it kind of a push?
Well, there's a bit more structures in the knee that can be injured with injuries, with certain mechanisms than in the elbow. But it all kind of depends on, the sport that you play and the risks that you're taking and the types of things that you're doing to put the certain joint at risk. And so, but as far as structures alone, there's more structures in the knee that could be injured than in the elbow.
And you yourself, orthopedic surgeon, do you do more knees, more elbows, more ankle? What do you do most in your office, your practice?
I probably operate on more shoulders and then knees and then elbows.
Shoulders first, knees and elbows.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, I see a lot of rotator cuff tears, labral tears, things like that in the shoulder. But also do shoulder replacements too, and I don't do knee replacements, so I guess that adds to what I see as well.
Takes away some of the numbers. All right, Doc, I guess we'll visit next Wednesday, and we'll have a basketball champion. Who do you think it'll be by next Wednesday? Who do you think we'll be talking about holding up the trophy?
Man, I didn't pick them, but man, just watching Duke play, man, they are just running through teams. It's just no competition. Cooper Flag and the bunch, man, they're unstoppable. Whereas I picked Florida to win it all, and they've been struggling there and just squeaking by sometimes. But just one other thing, I was a little surprised that they got by my Terps. I was a little surprised about that.
Hell of a
that
game.
They won by 19.
Yeah,
they won by like 18.
But you saw the game, Doc. That wasn't a 19-point game. That was a hell of a game. That was a good game. Florida pulled away at the end, but no, that was a good game. I've got a quick theory I'm going to throw out on. It seems like the last month or so, and certainly the tournament, more people are jumping on the Duke bandwagon. My theory is this. I think Duke, and this is not a fault of Duke, the ACC was so down this year, Duke didn't play many marquee games. Their 2 games, they played 3 games with Carolina because they played them in the ACC tournament. None of those were considered big games because Carolina wasn't. There wasn't very many must-see Duke games. So I haven't seen Duke play that much in the regular season. Does that make sense? And now you start to see them and you go, damn, they're good.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
They played
really good.
They're
really good, man. I mean, that's probably the issue because I now thinking back of it, I didn't really see them either. I watched one of the Carolina games that they played, but I just.
But that wasn't.
I mean, and being down here, we see Florida all the time. Yeah. So and all the SEC teams.
Those Duke Carolina games, none of those were must-see TV like they have been in the past. You look at the SEC this year, and any combination of Auburn playing Tennessee, Auburn playing Alabama, Florida playing Auburn, those were must-see games because Duke didn't have any must-see games really, so nobody really saw them play that much. I think.
Right.
That's my theory.
Yeah.
So you're going with Duke. You're going with Duke.
Right.
Going with Duke, Doc. I got you down with Duke.
I'm going with Duke, even though I picked Florida for my brackets.
How's your bracket doing?
And they're done anyway, so I can throw them out the window. They're done.
How's your bracket doing?
Yeah, my brackets aren't doing well at all.
They need some surgery.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, they need some surgery. Those brackets.
Right.
All right, Doc. We'll let you get going.
Some
about your
CPR.
Business. Yeah, some CPRs. Right. Hey, good stuff, buddy. We'll talk about basketball and everything else next week. Thank you, buddy.
Sounds good. Have a good day.
That's our buddy, Dr. Aaron Bates. A good, again, thanks to Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, the best in the business. If you've got ortho issues, orthopedic needs, go with the best. And don't wait. Do not waste time and effort going to a emergency room and sitting and just getting referred. Go straight to their no appointment necessary locations. Check them out. Find out all the locations, se-ortho.com. Get started with the best immediately. Time is of the essence. You want to get it treated and treated on the treatment path as quick as possible. se-ortho.com. That'll let you find all the locations for Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. Let's take a break, come back, talk some more basketball, and we'll squeeze in a little college football with our buddy Brent Beard on the other side. Stay with us.
Finally, a family atmosphere, kid-friendly restaurant with a real sports bar feel. Rick's Jack's Beach features all of that and a large, climate-controlled covered patio with misting fans and heaters for all seasons. Mix in an extremely diverse menu that features the most quality and affordable steak at the beach, and there's no reason not to enjoy your next lunch, dinner, happy hour, or big sporting event at Rick's Jack's Beach, 300 2nd Street North in Jacksonville Beach. See you at Rick's Jack's Beach.
For over 20 years, Southeast Orthopedic Specialists has been providing the highest level of orthopedic and spine care to patients throughout Northeast Florida. Now, we're making that same great care even more convenient with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists Direct, a walk-in clinic where you can be seen for pain or injuries with no appointment needed. Staffed by orthopedic physicians and specialists, we offer everything from diagnosis and treatment to imaging and bracing, all with no appointment needed. For more information, hours, and locations, visit our website.
You really got to hand it to him. Hold on.
The previous play is under further review.
I'm not sure what he could review, but okay. Sure has been a while. Dynamic Hurricane Grill and Wings for the football season. Well, there he is. Oh, what is that?
Hey everyone, Olivia Tasley here from Action Sports Jacks to tell you all the different ways you can watch our new 24/7 network. 3 easy steps. You don't even need a pen and paper to write it down. Step number 1, download the app. Search Action News Jacks in your app store either on your phone or your smart TV. Then, once you're on the app, click on that little drop-down menu in the upper left-hand corner with the 3 little lines. That'll show you these options, and boom, right here, click Action Sports Jacks 24/7, and you will be brought to our continuous stream channel. That app can be accessed through all these different platforms. Whether you have Roku, Fire TV, Smart TV, Apple TV, or Google TV, you can find our app. Now, if you don't have access to the app, don't worry, we still got you covered. We're across all social media platforms from Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Twitch. We have a podcast channel. Plus, check out our short reels on our TikTok. Action Sports Jacks 24/7. It's on all the time and everywhere.
Summertime means sizzling sales at Nimnick Buick GMC. The #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville has lots of inventory to choose from with their best price guarantee. Nimnick never charges above MSRP. You can save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierras or get rates as low as 1.9%.
You know, I'm a truck guy. GMC Sierra, my trim level is an SLT. This one's an Elevation. Pretty good looking color as well. So here at Nimnick Buick GMC, you have a lot to pick from. My father-in-law, he drives this, an Enclave, so I feel like that GMC in the family. 2025 is coming around the corner, which means it's almost time to close out those 2024s this summer.
You can schedule a test drive at NimnickBuickGMC.com, and while you're there, check your trade value and customize your payment options. Nimnick is there for you, even on Sundays. Visit the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
Okay, again, thanks to Dr. Aaron Bates. Man, I really enjoy our segment. We've done it for a couple years now, where we talk sports injury, sports medicine discussion. Aaron Bates, of course, one of the best orthopedic surgeons in our area, based out of Southeast Orthopedic Specialist. Back here as we are in the final 30 minutes or so of the show. Tomorrow, as you know, every Thursday we're live on the patio at Sliders Oyster Bar. Going to have a guest or two as well. I think Pat's going to be out there, and we'll have a couple of other people. Got a very big, important event going on. I think it's this Sunday. We're going to tell you all about our buddy Dean McQuitty, and some people will be with us. I think we've got Pat and Brent Beard. Guys, we got a double dip of you two guys, right? Who do we got? Oh, there's Brent Beard.
Yeah, we just got Brent in a moment.
Yeah, the heck with Pat. Let's kick Pat. We've had enough of Pat the first hour. Pat, you got to scram. Brent Beard's here. Hey, Brent, how you doing, man?
Well, I'm doing well. I first want to talk about, if people have not heard, Chris Beard is staying at Ole Miss.
Oh, good news.
This just came out a few minutes ago.
Good news.
I have got a Ole Miss beat writer who works for their radio station. This is what he tweeted me a few minutes ago. He said, "I'm in the floor being revived because I was stunned after fainting." He said, "I would have bet my house that he was leaving Ole Miss to go to A&M. Keith Carter, the AD, is up there with Danny White, and Greg Byrne is one of the SEC's top ADs. This is really significant, and people like to say that this really just came out, that Chris Beard has made it known that he is staying at Ole Miss.
Good move for Ole Miss.
Terry, could you argue that that's one of the best things happened to Ole Miss basketball since you and I have been in the business?
In a long time. I've got a couple thoughts I want to throw your way. Number one, I did not know that he was getting flirted with by A&M, but it makes sense. They just lost Buzz Williams.
Yes.
And I understand why Buzz went to a basketball-first school. Number two, for the conference, I'm very happy that Chris Beard is staying because he's a really good coach. And number three, to address what you just said, not to be mean, but Brent, you and I know the SEC. It's kind of our thing, and we love the SEC, and we've followed it for years. The Ole Misses of the world, and you can throw Mississippi State, they don't win this very often.
No,
Like, they don't win
no.
this kind of battle, and it's a battle when you're trying to keep your coach.
It is.
I
It
mean,
is.
he was probably A&M's number one choice.
He was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ole Miss athletics, it just is what it is. They don't win that very often.
No, they don't.
And good for Ole Miss.
It is. No question. He was number one. Jans, the Mississippi State coach, has been involved or mentioned with that also. But look, the significance of Beard staying at Ole Miss, I know we mentioned this before, but it bears repeating. Rick Pitino took 6 different teams to the NCAA tournament. Yeah. Well, Chris Beard's taken 4.
How about that?
So that's only 2 behind. So that is a really incredible.
Good for Ole Miss.
Yeah, and quite a reaction from my Ole Miss beat writer friend who knows them inside out.
And gosh, I'm not an Ole Miss historian, but we know enough about them. I can't imagine Ole Miss has run out a better 1-2 football basketball than Lane Kiffin, Chris Beard.
I agree totally.
At their age, at their success. Wow, that's good. That is really good for Ole Miss and probably good for the SEC. A&M will find somebody. They're A&M. They got a boatload of money. They got a boatload of money. They now probably are going to have to hit on the up and coming guy, the guy at Furman or somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But unless they can steal somebody off a bench or I don't know. They got enough money. They could grab a guy, an established head guy. Wow, good for Ole Miss. Hey, Brent, I want to back up. I saw this in your notes, but we had it on yesterday as well. What a cool thing Coastal Carolina football's doing.
Yes.
Home games, free concessions. We talked about it yesterday, and I saw it in your notes as well this morning. Coastal Carolina, if you haven't heard, 6 home games, free concessions. You got to pick from 4 items. You can go as many times as you want. You have to click on their app because they want to keep a running total.
Right.
But the theory is, and keep in mind, hot dogs by the bulk are cheap as hell. Popcorn costs you nothing for a bag of popcorn. So it's hot dog, popcorn, nachos with cheese, which that's cheap as hell if you buy in bulk.
Mm-hmm.
And same with fountain drinks. It's a neat concept. They're banking on the fact, Brent, that more people will buy tickets because of that than what they'll lose in the food. I think it's kind of a neat concept.
It is, and I'm sure they'll increase the price of something that people aren't really paying attention to, but it's a genius marketing plan, really frankly, and getting people to and here's the reality of this, and you and I've talked about this for years now. Schools are asking donors to pay more money for several sports, and you've got donor fatigue going on right now.
Yes, you do. Well said.
And because of that, the situation is you've got to get back to something. And you and I have talked about what could they do. And frankly, this could be significant. Now, I don't know. Tell me what you think about this. I don't know if the SEC will agree to this because they make a lot of money off concessions. I mean, you work in a situation and have territory where you understand how valuable concessions are.
Yeah, sure.
But man alive, you've got to give them a break somewhere, correct?
Yeah, you would think. It's a neat concept. It is a neat concept. It really is. And, if you think it through, the first thing people think, people are going to eat 12, 15, 20 hot dogs. Well, no, keep in mind, those people getting in line for their free concessions, they're also there for the game. They want to go out and watch the game. So they're not just going to hang out. And also because you have to click on every time you get in line, click on the app. I think there's going to be some kind of fail-safe where you probably 16 and under, you got to be with an adult. That way, every 12-year-old kid doesn't just hover around the concession stand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it's going to be neat, particularly at the end of the year when they release their numbers.
Mm-hmm.
If they're transparent and they say, hey, we took a bath or it worked out good. You got to think if they sell 4,000 more tickets, game day and season. I mean, that's a big number at $100 a ticket or whatever.
It is. There's no doubt about that. Listen, I've been digging on some other stuff I need to bring up here and this is one of the best forums to do it. You know, the NCAA denied that the spring game between Colorado and Syracuse,
right,
that Dion really wanted. Well, let me get into that a little bit, what I've learned from it, and keep this in mind. The wording from the NCAA was, and this is kind of typical of them, we're not going to sanction this right now because some of the other games have been played.
I saw that, yeah.
Okay. Here's what I've learned about that. They may try that again next year.
Agreed.
And they may do it early on to keep the NCAA from coming up with such foolishness as they often do. And if you do it early, that might make a difference in order to do that. And I'll take this one step further. Oklahoma State have been rumored about playing. Mike Gundy said today, well, why don't we play? What are they going to do to us if we play? I thought that was hysterical. Frankly, so I've always liked Gundy in some way or another. So I thought, wasn't that tremendous?
What are they gonna? They gonna run out and pull the power plug at the stadium, or what? What are they gonna do? You know?
And I'm telling you, if somebody did it and it was successful, that would make a big difference.
Yeah.
By the way, a couple other things real quick before we get back to basketball. Number one, I've got the dates for SEC Media Days, Terry.
All right, what you got?
July 14th through 17th in Atlanta.
Back in Atlanta, and you don't like it in Atlanta, right? Didn't you tell me you don't? I've never been to that one in Atlanta.
Well, it's at the
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame is where it's at. So I mean, the parking is at a premium. Believe me, you got to park in Decatur where my grandson is in order to get over there. But that's your media days. And look, this is something we can talk about after the Final Four is over. But you really do wonder. And the SEC and the Big Ten is going to expand again. This is 4 days. I mean, my stars, Terry. Well, are we going to have a whole week for media days? One day when they quit
it's getting
expanding.
It's getting close. Good stuff on the SEC football media days. Not that I'm weird or anything, but I just circled to prove that I didn't write this down. This was before the show. Just in case anybody's wondering, 143 days until the start of college football season.
Oh yeah, and listen.
Just in case anybody's wondering today, like me.
They're less than 70 days before Phil Steele comes out.
Yeah. Hey, nice. Do I have this right? The basketball portal is currently open, and the football portal will open on the 15th. So they'll overlap a little bit. Basketball and football.
The football, now to give people a perspective on this, several of the SEC teams, and I've got a list here, have spring games. I actually do have spring games that are coming up. Now, a couple of things that caught my eye on this, and I'll be brief about this because we'll have more time later. South Carolina's spring game is on Friday night, April the 18th. Now, Texas A&M, I'm glad you're sitting down for this, play their spring game on the 19th at 3 o'clock on the SEC network.
Wow. Really?
That's the only – help me on this.
That's
the only – you and I, if we miss this, it hasn't happened yet, but or hadn't been announced yet. But to my knowledge, that is the only game in the SEC that will be on television.
I don't – and again, we do want to get to some basketball, but I don't – you're talking about, at best, regular season SEC baseball and softball. I just don't see anything that's going to be bigger to push those spring games. You can't squeeze those in on Saturday somewhere on a random. I don't get that. Brent, real quick, one more football unless you've got something, and then some Auburn basketball, Florida basketball. As if Stanford doesn't have enough problems trying to get their football program elevated. They're in the wrong conference. They're traveling all over the world. Man, that was a tough blow. They had to fire their coach. And Andrew Luck, who's the football GM at Stanford, I guess he did about as good as he can. He went and got his buddy Frank Reich, a cup of coffee quarterback in the league, but he was a longtime coach. Just just a timing tough blow for Stanford football.
Yeah, it's funny you said that. Let me talk about that real quick, because I've heard from some people this week who actually understand that situation, and it's a dire situation too. It is because Stanford now, and I know you've said this before, Stanford has an ungodly endowment, first of all.
Yes,
Number two, but here's the problem at Stanford. Stanford is almost a military school. And what I mean by that is the thing we were told was Stanford actually really does not do anything with NIL.
How about that?
And it's one, the standards are so high to get in that it's very difficult. And if you want to transfer in, it's even harder. I mean, to transfer to Stanford, you've got to do like 12 essays.
Yeah.
In order to get in there. Imagine you and I doing 12 essays. Our essay days are over, brother. So to your point is, and again, the reason this means something is because Stanford now is in the ACC.
Yeah.
And on the Young and Norvelle show, we covered the ACC. By the way, so I mean, Terry, look right now, you could see the Stanford football situation just going into chaos. Terry, you wonder at some point now they'd have the money to do it. I'm not saying they drop football, but I mean, my Stars, you have 3 or 4 3-9s or 2-10s. What do you do at that point?
Yeah, that is tough. I mean, that's almost, when you say they're like a military school with NIL, I mean, that's akin to saying, hey, Vanderbilt, compete in the SEC with no NIL.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're already behind the 8 ball with your academics and no NIL. Yeah. That is rough. Brent, I don't know if any of your sources in and around the state of Alabama, anything, I guess there's not a lot. We know Broome won't be 100% probably, maybe, but hopefully just some soreness. It won't affect his game. What are you hearing anything on Broome and his injury going into the Florida game?
As I was told that they would have to tie him to the bus seat.
Sure.
In order for him not to play. So he will play, and probably by Saturday, he should be in pretty good shape.
And Dr. Bates thought so as well. He's 6 full days to rehab it. It may affect him. He's not going to practice today or tomorrow. That doesn't mean you can't shoot some free throws and kind of bump some balls off the backboard. But, and they're playing in a weird, big, huge dome. But you think he's going to be okay?
Yeah, close to 100%. And look, you brought up a really good point. People forget this until we get down to the Final Four, but that we've been playing basically in football stadiums is what it amounts to for the Final Four over the last several years.
Yeah.
Because they want to sell tickets, so they're able to do that. And if you go to the game, I mean, you're basically sitting on the rafters. The secondary market price for the Final Four for the men is like $250. The secondary for the women is $130. So you've got quite a discrepancy there.
I wouldn't pay $30 for the women. You can pay the $100. I'm not paying the $30.
Yeah, but if you want to, if someone's in that area and they want to go to a Final Four, most people don't have $250 just to blow, but the reality is just to have that experience. If you've got a little cash saved up, that would almost be worth it, wouldn't it, Terry?
It really would. I don't know your thoughts on the 2 games, obviously Saturday. I think they're both pick'em coin flip games.
I totally agree.
I would not, and I'm not saying I think Houston's going to definitely beat Duke. It wouldn't surprise me one iota if Houston wins that game.
No, absolutely not.
Not one iota.
No. Houston is so good. Terry, they showed I want you to Google this later.
Okay.
They showed a Houston practice, and the practice was, I've never seen anything like it. The kid, and I don't think they had on any pads at all, but one of the drills that lasted for quite a while, they would throw a ball like it was a loose ball on the court, and the Houston kids would be diving for the ball. Terry, I don't mean bending over to pick it up. I mean diving for the ball.
On a regulation court, not a padded.
Yeah. We need Gene Hampman out there measuring the court.
Exactly.
But have you ever heard of anything like that? I mean, but look, that bunch, I mean, they are street tough.
Yes, they are.
That they are incredible team guarding. So no, would it surprise? No, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Houston won the whole thing.
No, not at all. Looking back at Florida's season, I brought this up, looking at their schedule, and I went back and researched it. I know Florida's won a bunch of big games. They played a nice competition. The SEC, you can't help but play good competition.
Right.
I think the turning point of Florida's season was February 8th in Auburn when they knocked off the Tigers.
No question.
I think that was the moment most of your experts and the Florida basketball team went, we could win this thing.
That's right.
I think that was would you agree? I think that was that was the light comes on moment in this season.
And see, when that game was going on, the game was at Auburn, and the pundits were saying, well, Auburn's not going to lose another game the whole year.
Yes.
And I mean, the Auburn was invincible at that point. What they did, and you'll remember this, they put two of their bigs on Broome.
Yeah.
And they basically would not let, and this is what Houston's going to do if that ends up being a game, but they put basically two of those bigs, particularly Condon, on Broome, and they annoyed him enough.
Really did.
To where he had to elevate the arc of his shot, and he missed a lot of shots that he normally would make.
Yeah.
And there's no question it was, and you made an astute point a few minutes ago with Doc, and that was part of you know what would people criticize Duke? Well, the reality is, as good as Duke is, that is the truth. Duke had very few quad one wins.
Yeah, and they had very few that sports fan, that college basketball fan. They had Duke this year's weird. They had very few must get in front of a TV game.
Yeah.
Now it wasn't
Yeah,
Duke, it wasn't Duke's fault. It was North Carolina wasn't very good. Clemson beat them, but nobody rushed to the TV to see Clemson beat Duke on February whatever. I think that's one of the issues why most of the country is going, wow, look at Duke. And a lot of the country's jumping on Duke the last 2 or 3 weeks of this tournament because they haven't been those 3 North Carolina games they played.
Yeah.
Those weren't, I got to be in front of a TV like they have been in the past.
Yeah.
We just haven't seen Duke play must-see basketball games.
Oh, they were over at what, Terry? The halfway point of the first half?
Yeah. Definitely. You mentioned making Broome uncomfortable with size, and Florida did that. Don't forget, Florida adds a 7'1" body that wasn't on that floor
That's
back
right.
on February. Hanlogden wasn't on the active roster, so you get 7'1" to add to that mix in the front court, and their best backcourt defender did not play in that game. Elijah Martin did not play.
That very true. Very true. Now look, Auburn, Baker Mazar has got to behave in this game.
Yeah.
He's got to, he's in front of God and everybody on this game. So, but you wouldn't be surprised if they try to get him irritated and get him out of the game.
And why wouldn't you? Very subtly, why wouldn't you play some sportsmanship, gamesmanship, I should say, and at the foul line when he's next to you, hey, Sally, nice shot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Well, I'm sure that, and that will be mild compared to what they probably say to him, but still, I think that, that's a good point. But no, I think basically everybody will be healthy. I still think Florida wins. I mean, look, Auburn's had a great year. There's no doubt about that. But the truth of the matter is, at the end of the season, the SEC tournament, and even at times in this tournament, Auburn has not played well for stretches of the game, and they've got to be very, very careful in this game. But Florida has. But at some point, but Terry, here's the reality. Florida can't do what they've done the last 2 games. They can't get behind and think they're going into the phone booth and put on their Superman outfit and come out and win the game. At some point, that catches up with you.
Very dangerous. That is a very dangerous way to play starting Saturday for Florida. Did you see the SEC release their March Madness financial numbers? And it was a slaughter. What they do in March Madness, for every win, your team/conference gets a unit.
Yeah.
A unit is $2 million. And at the end of the tournament, you count up your conference wins and you run the math and you get that number. So all the tabulations are over because I don't know why this is, but the Final Four 2 games and the championship, those don't count. The units, we know how many units. The SEC, after 22 wins so far, will pocket $70 million. This is extra money. This isn't TV money. This is for winning 20, and this is a huge record, first time ever. 22 wins of countable units. $70 million will be distributed to the 16 schools. Now, Brent, I found out they don't send them 70 all at once. It's a rolling 6-year payout. But the SEC will add $70 million to the bank account just for their success in March Madness.
Yeah, well, and a couple things about that. Where this is really going to pay off for the SEC is next year when they get some of these prime matchups in November and December that usually go to the Big Ten or the ACC. The other thing, and I'm glad you brought this up, and I'll be real quick on this. We'll try to talk about it Friday or next week, but the judge is supposed to make a ruling and sign off on this House versus the NCAA verdict. And my understanding is she's either going to accept it as it is, or either tell them, no, you need to go back and revise this, or she may have her own revisions and go with that, because that $21 million per school, if this goes through, is supposed to drop this summer. So we will cover that very closely over the next few days. But back to your point, I mean, again, because ESPN carries the SEC the way they do, it's not that they're on other channels, but you get the point. I bet when that schedule comes out, Terry, in a few months for early season games, how many SEC names are going to be on that TV schedule?
You would think a ton, and you wonder. I'm being tongue in cheek here. You wonder if the ACC wants any more of that SEC-ACC challenge.
Yeah, maybe not.
Or are they 14-2? The SEC ran roughshod. I'll leave you with this. We still have a couple of days to talk about, obviously, the Final Four. If Duke was to win it, even though they came from a bad conference this year, the ACC, I don't think they have to apologize to anybody. Do you realize if Florida gets to Monday night, if Duke is the team that wins it, Duke would have beaten Auburn, Alabama, and Florida this year. If Duke does that, you tip their hat. You tip your hat to them.
You would. Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about that. So, but it's going to be great. I mean, it's a talk of the nation, frankly, and the basketball deserve, and they deserve every bit of it. But again, Terry, if anybody tuned in late, real quick, Chris Beard is staying at Ole Miss.
Big news.
Instead of going to A&M, he was a choice. And that's the big news of the day.
And again, I said big news just then for Ole Miss, and I said big news for the SEC. And some people may go, well, wait a minute. He was going to go to an SEC school if he left. Well, Ole Miss doesn't win this battle. A&M can go find – A&M finds them coaches. A&M's going to be fine. They'll find somebody, and they've got the Brinks truck to pay it. This is a good win for Ole Miss, I think. All right, Brent, that's about it, man. We'll get together again definitely by Friday, and man, that'll be on the eve. Can't wait till Saturday. It's a long, particularly for Gator Nation and Auburn Nation. Yeah. It's a long wait to get to 609 on Saturday. That Saturday will be a long day. Saturday will be a long day.
It will. Hey, but you know what? Gator fans will take it, won't they?
Yeah, they will. Last thing, got 1 minute left. This year's basketball tournament, there aren't any Cinderellas. There aren't any throw-ins. This is why when you and I talk about the football tournament, and when the committee, I say, I don't want some little school getting in. I want the best team. This is proof positive. Your best tournaments in any sport are going to be when you get the best friggin' teams, not a training wheel team. Oh, let those little guys in. Let two little no, give me the best.
Yeah, well, look, these little teams had their, if we want to put it that way, had their chance to win.
I agree.
And be able to get in on this thing. But yeah, and this is like football, Terry. This is where we're going to go in the expanded playoffs too.
Yeah.
Your Final Four in both sports are going to be Power 4 conference teams.
That'll do it. Good stuff, Brent Beard. We'll get back together with Brent a little bit later in the week, and we will get with you folks tomorrow live from the patio at Sliders. Join us 4 to 6.
Finally, a family atmosphere, kid-friendly restaurant with a real sports bar feel. Rick's Jack's Beach features all of that and a large, climate-controlled covered patio with misting fans and heaters for all seasons. Mix in an extremely diverse menu that features the most quality and affordable steak at the beach, and there's no reason not to enjoy your next lunch, dinner, happy hour, or big sporting event at Rick's Jack's Beach, 300 2nd Street North in Jacksonville Beach. See you at Rick's Jack's Beach.
For over 20 years, Southeast Orthopedic Specialists has been providing the highest level of orthopedic and spine care to patients throughout Northeast Florida. Now, we're making that same great care even more convenient with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists Direct, a walk-in clinic where you can be seen for pain or injuries with no appointment needed. Staffed by orthopedic physicians and specialists, we offer everything from diagnosis and treatment to imaging and bracing, all with no appointment needed. For more information, hours, and locations, visit our website.
You really got to hand it to him. Hold on.
The previous play is under further review.
I'm not sure what he could review, but okay. Sure has been a while. Dine in at Hurricane Grill and Wings for the football season. Well, there he is. Oh, what is that?
Hey everyone, Olivia Tasley here from Action Sports Jacks to tell you all the different ways you can watch our new 24/7 network. 3 easy steps. You don't even need a pen and paper to write it down. Step number 1, download the app. Search Action News Jacks in your app store either on your phone or your smart TV. Then, once you're on the app, click on that little drop-down menu in the upper left-hand corner with the 3 little lines. That'll show you these options, and boom, right here, click Action Sports Jacks 24/7, and you will be brought to our continuous stream channel. That app can be accessed through all these different platforms, whether you have Roku, Fire TV, Smart TV, Apple TV, or Google TV. You can find our app. Now, if you don't have access to the app, don't worry, we still got you covered. We're across all social media platforms from Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Twitch. We have a podcast channel. Plus, check out our short reels on our TikTok. Action Sports Jacks 24/7. It's on all the time and everywhere.
Summertime means sizzling sales at Nimnick Buick GMC. The #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville has lots of inventory to choose from with their best price guarantee. Nimnick never charges above MSRP. You can save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierras or get rates as low as 1.9%.
You know, I'm a truck guy. GMC Sierra, my trim level is an SLT. This one's an Elevation. Pretty good looking color as well. So here at Nimnick Buick GMC, you have a lot to pick from. My father-in-law, he drives this, an Enclave, so I feel like that GMC in the family. 2025 is coming around the corner, which means it's almost time to close out those 2024s this summer.
You can schedule a test drive at NimnickBuickGMC.com. And while you're there, check your trade value and customize your payment options. Nimnick is there for you, even on Sundays. Visit the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are